It's Friday. I hope you have plans for this weekend. If you don't, you deserve to have a relaxing weekend reading a great book. Whatever book you read this weekend, please share. Literally, like I'm really trying to like add books to my reading list, and I'm like, are these books that they want to like hear review about? So if you guys like can tell me in the comments like what books you guys are reading and what books you would like me to share my thoughts on, tell me, help me out. So now that we're on episode 12, I am so happy that we're at episode 12. I can't wait to keep on growing and to have more episodes and to do more book reviews. And yeah, I also wanted to let you guys know that I have two more books. So the last episode, I mentioned two books that I received, and I received at that time four books in total that I've ordered. So the other two that I've ordered is The Daughters of Dupree and With Love from Harlem. I have The Seven Daughters of Dupree, written by Nikisha Elise Williams. When I tell you I'm so excited to read this book, it's so excited. So let's talk about the feel of the book. The book feels so nice. It's so pretty. Love the illustrations. Seven Daughters of Dupree, by Nikisha Elise Williams. Let's see. Let's read the synopsis. So, it's 1995, and 14-year-old Tati is determined to find out the identity of her father. But her mother, Nadia, keeps her secrets close, while her grandmother, Gladys, remains silent about the family's past, including why she left Land's End, Alabama, in 1953. As Tati digs deeper, she uncovers legacy of family secrets, where every generation of Dupree women has posed more questions than answers. From Juby in 1917, whose attempt to pass for white ends when she gives birth to Ruby, to Ruby's fiery lust for Samson in 1934, which leads to a baby of her own, to the night in 1980 that changed Nadia's future forever. The Dupree women carry the weights of their heritage, bound by a mysterious malediction that means they'll only give birth to daughters. The Dupree women confront a legacy of pain, resilience, and survival that began with an enslaved ancestor who risked everything for freedom. The Seven Daughters of Dupree masterfully weaves together themes of generational trauma, Black women's resilience, and unbreakable familial bonds. Echoing the powerful writing of the 12 Tribes of Haiti by Ayanna Mathis, Nikisha Elise Williams delivers a feminist literary fiction that explores the ripple effects of actions, secrets, and love through seven generations of Black women. Uh, I'm so excited to read this. I literally have I'm literally putting aside so much time to read this book because I want to read this book while I'm having some chamomile tea and everything is just quiet and I can just really like immerse myself into this world. So excited for the $7 of Dupree. And when I tell you, this book is so pretty. Ugh, I love it. I'm so excited. So excited to read this. Now, we are now moving on to With Love from Harlem by Rashonda Tat. Okay, so I'm excited for this novel. When I saw it, I don't know, I was just imagining like a beautiful romance, uh, and I kind of wanted to step into that world a little bit, and I'm hoping that this book also kind of dives into the Black Harlem culture, which I chose. That's another reason why I chose to get this book. So I'm excited for that. So the synopsis of this book is Harlem 1943. At just 23, Hazel Scott is a woman on fire, a jazz prodigy, a glamorous film star, and a fierce advocate for civil rights. She's breaking barriers and refusing to play by the rules. The Adam Clayton Powell Jr. Then Adam Clayton Powell Jr. walks into her life, Harlem's most electrifying preacher turned politician. Adam is as bold and unyielding as Hazel, charismatic, powerful, and married. Lord. Oh God, okay. This kicks off a decades-long relationship that propels them into the center of a political and cultural revolution. As Hazel's star rises, Adam takes the national stage in Congress, and the couple become the toast of the country. But when their affair turns into a marriage behind the glamorous facade is a battlefield of ego, ambition, and sacrifice. Forced to choose between her music and her family, Hazel must decide what she's willing to lose and what she refuses to give up. Set against the pulsing backdrop of 20th century Harlem and featuring icons like Billie Holiday, Langston Hughes, and James Baldwin, With Love from Harlem is a sweeping, emotionally charged romantic drama rich with historical detail, where Shonda Tate delivers a powerful portrait of love, art, and the price of being unforgettable. Now, I'm so excited. I'm so excited to read this book just because we're going to have some cameos from historical figures, because we're able to really kind of get a glimpse of the civil rights movement in Harlem, because we're able to see some drama, um, extramarital affairs, which is drama. It's definitely going to be interesting, insightful, and I'm really excited. So I'm excited for With Love from Harlem and The Seven Daughters of Dupree. I'm excited for both of these books. I cannot wait, and they're both so pretty. Whenever you get a new book, I just love feeling it. There's just something so sacred about like a new book, you know? Like, okay, let me leave these books. I'm going to leave, I'm going to put these books down, and yeah. Latest in publishing news. So, two women, four cats, and one home in a best-selling Korean memoir. So, in a New York Times article written by Maya Singer, she writes about a memoir called Two Women, Four Cats, Two Women Living Together. Sorry. And this memoir is written by Kim Hannah and Hae-Wang Sunwoo. So the article basically gives some insight into what the book is about, which is about two Korean women who decide to, get a mortgage, buy an apartment, and live together. So in the beginning, it was kind of rocky because they have different cleanliness standards, but they end up finding a resolution, which was to book a cleaning service through an app. And the two actually found out that owning a home together and living together is very much like marriage or some sort of like domestic arrangement, as said by Maya in the New York Times article. However, they state that this is only as a result of the infrastructure problem in Korea, right? And yes, in Korea. So specifically, Maya states that it's not a you problem, they tell readers, it's a housing problem. So the infrastructure itself hasn't caught up with the changes to society over the past half century, with the effect that single people are being compelled to live autonomous lives in small homes where they must shoulder all the attendant care and expenses. What's stopping the individual atoms from joining forces to form a molecule? And as of August 2025, according to Maya in the New York Times article, 42% of households in South Korea consist of one person. Hwang and Kim, at least, are staring this reality in the face. They would like to see South Korea institute a system along the lines of French Pax, a civil union that can be entered into platonically, which confers all the official benefits as a wedlock. And see, in this article, Maya states, as they tell it, it's simple. They were sick of living alone They bought an apartment they both liked and moved in. So after reading this article really attracted me because I was thinking to myself, I'm like, wow, like if I can get an apartment with a best friend, oh my God, that'd be a dream come true. Because especially if you're single. If you're single, that is a dream come true because at least you're not pressured into, having to wait until marriage to make that big step. Or if you don't want to wait and you want to do it alone, you're not pressured into doing it alone if you haven't met someone or if you haven't, married someone and you're not in that next phase of your life. So it's definitely a cool thing to see two friends say, hey, listen, we're both single. We're not planning on getting married anytime soon, but we both want to own a space and share a space. So let's do it. And I think that's such a beautiful, refreshing thing. Um, yeah, it's very beautiful and refreshing. And I don't feel like that's something that's really done a lot. If you guys know of any friends or any family members who bought a home with their best friend, and it's the relationship is platonic and they're in loving their living arrangements, let me know because that is very interesting to me, and yeah, it's very cool. Yeah, it's very cool. The only thing is that what happens when you do find someone and you want to then buy home with them, like, do they just kind of like buy you out of that situation? Like, what kind of happens? Like, I think that's where it can kind of get tricky, if your friend ends up just meeting someone and they do want to buy somewhere else or they want to move out, and now you are stuck with either buying them out and becoming independent again, where you cover all the expenses by yourself. So it can be a tricky situation, but it also is so liberating to see two females having their own, sharing a space. They're both friends. It's platonic. And they're happy. They have their four cats, and that's their happiness. And I find that so beautiful, to know that, you know, love doesn't have to always be romantic. It can be friendship love. And sometimes people have enough love for their friends and enough respect where they're like, listen, we can share a place together. We're not in a romantic relationship, but we're best friends. We love each other. And this is our way of really creating a space of our own where we can feel safe. So that's something that it was very cool to see. And it's funny because I know there's a lot of females who probably read that article and was like, oh, I'm single and I would love to just buy a home with my best friend and create a space together that we both are happy in. And yeah, so that was cool to see. And honestly, like, I don't know, are there any friends that I would want to own a home with? For me, I'm a very clean person. Like, cleanliness is number one for me. If I see something that is like disgusting or unhygienic, or like there's just, if my friend is dirty, I don't think it would last personally. I'm definitely an atom. Like, I'd like to be alone. To be honest with you, like, I really like my own space. Like, I'm very introverted. However, if I'm comfortable around you, I'm extroverted, and I'm a very um yeah, I'm just very to myself, and that's just how I spend my time is I like to be alone, honestly. And it's taken a lot that I am in a relationship right now, because I do like my own space, but again, like, having a partner or a friendship is so important because life is boring when you're doing life by yourself. Like, you want to have that one person that you can share experiences with and have memories together. It's so much more beautiful when you can, like, relive a moment, but you can relive that moment with someone else because it's a moment that you both shared. And I think it's a beautiful thing. I think that's what makes life so special. So it's nice to see that these women were not willing to do life alone, and they're like, listen, we're best friends and we love each other, so we're gonna share space together and have a home together and make memories and make the space our home. And that's a really refreshing thing to see. So, anyways, I thought I would share the article because I know there's maybe some single women that are listening to me who are thinking to themselves, like, I'm so single, but it's like, why even bother, like, stress about having to enter the dating market and find a guy, and hopefully the guy is like respectful and loyal and loving, and hopefully he wants to take to that next stage of getting married when you have a loyal, loving friend who is possibly also single and who also wants to just, create life, create not create life, but create memories and create and also have a space where they can create a home. So I thought it was very beautiful and very refreshing, and it definitely inspired me. So, God forbid if I end up being single or whatever, then and I don't want to be alone, I'm gonna call one of my best friends and we're gonna get a home together. Okay, so before getting into the book review, I wanted to do a bio on the writer Tracy Lindberg and the illustrator George Littlechild. So, the writer Tracy Lindberg is a citizen of Assiniwashi, Niwa Nation, and hails from the Kelly Lake Cree Nation community. She is an award-winning academic writer and a professor of law. She's the author of Birdie, which was shortlisted for CBC's Canada Reads, the Kobo Emerging Writer Prize, and the Georges Brunette Award for Fiction, and longlisted for the International Dublin Literary Award. George Littlechild is a Plains Cree artist who was born in Treaty Number 6. He's internationally renowned for his work and his extensive body of art is noted for its bold colors and playful images, which belly the serious undertones of his work. George lives a political life, and his work reveals the complexities of existence and autonomy for Indigenous peoples. His collages and paintings grant viewers insight into the human spirit, the strong connection to our ancestors, the ways in which we view our worlds, and what needs to change. So I feel like this is a synopsis of the authors Tracy Lindberg and George Littlechild. And it's great to see two authors collaborate on a book and make such a beautiful piece of work. The illustrations, the writing, everything is just so beautifully done. And I hope that we get to see more collaborations between illustrators and writers in the future. I love that. It's so artistic and so creative. Um, yeah, and I'm really happy that I'm, learning of new Indigenous writers and creatives. It's really, you know, refreshing to have to make reference to these books and to also know about these books. And also to give them to spotlight these books because these books are so necessary to have in your book collection, and it's cool to know um, that these two Indigenous peoples were able to connect on through the book's themes and message, which is the Cree word for love. So, yeah, I just wanted to give some spotlight on the writers so that you guys are know who the writers are, and even if let's just say you forget the book title. Well, I mean, if you forget the book, you can always go back to today's episode and, reference, get the book's title's name and add it to your reading list. So, yeah, that is um, the book. Yeah, sorry, I was just reading the author synopsis. So yeah, that's good. And it's Canadian, and it was Indigo's staff pick of the month. So, and the month just started, so that's great. So yeah, this is a great book, and I'm happy that, you know, that they both collaborated on such a beautiful piece. So now we're going to get into the cultural context of love. So prior to reading this book, I really asked myself, after reading the title, of course, is love different from the Cree culture, and what made it different from this universally known feeling? Because love is a verb, right? And what makes it different from what I know love to be and what other cultures know what love to be? And that's what really made me want to buy the book, because I really wanted to see why is love different in the Cree culture. So that was a question I had in my mind that I hoped would be answered once reading the book. And I can tell you that the answer to that book, in my personal opinion, was that love is not different from is not love is the same in Cree culture as it is universally, and love is an action word. And she shows this. I feel like a great way she shows what love is when she referenced the protagonist's grandmother mixing up medicines for the kids so that the kids would be, you know, protected from bullies. And I thought that was a very beautiful thing because where does she state that? So she stated here, yeah, so she stated here on page 35 where she said, I talked to my mom on the phone last night and she told me that Chapin was not hexing. She was teaching the grandchildren the medicines to take care of themselves and those they love. That, yes, it had started with the schoolyard bully, and yes, she was teaching them how to make a tonic to protect them. But as my mom got older, she come to see that Chapin was teaching Mama and her siblings to protect themselves, that the Earth Mother provides and we participate in an exchange. And if Chapin were here, Chapin would take Thomas's cousins to the stove and teach them how to protect themselves. If Copeland could, she'd make a medicine to stop the newest tribe from killing our people. And this, even though this was the beginning of the book, it answered my question on why love different in the Cree culture, and I can say no. Because growing up as a child, growing up, my mom told me a story that when I was born, my grandmother asked for my umbilical cord and so when I was a baby, um, when I was young, my parents ended up taking a flight to Jamaica with me, and my mom gave my grandmother the umbilical cord, and she planted it under a tree, and this rooted in African um, cultures and belief was under the belief that by planting a baby's umbilical cord under the tree, that they too will be protected. Um, but that is an act of love because sometimes love, I mean, at least now, and I guess it's the young people's mindset where love is the purchasing of material things and it only needs to be shown through um, just through lavishness and you know, but love is protection, and I'm sure that you also have a story of, you know, if not your grandparents, your parents offering you some sort of protection because that is their way of demonstrating their love for you. And that was a beautiful thing because it just showed that even though different cultures are so different, we're fundamentally the same in the things that we do and the things that we value and it was nice to know that similar to, you know, at least the Jamaican culture, because that's what I can speak from about, because that's what I was raised around and that's what my parents were born. At least my mom was born in Jamaica. Um, that is a that is a fundamentally makes the Cree culture and The Jamaican culture is so similar because the elders were a source of wisdom, they were a source of protection, and they used that wisdom to protect their family. And protection was equated to love. So it's definitely refreshing to see that she was able to illustrate that love coming from an elder so early on in the book, because automatically, if you have the same question as I had, is what makes love different in Cree culture, you will realize that love isn't different in Cree culture. It's the same. It's the same how many cultures and around the world demonstrate love. So that was pretty. I really appreciated that. Um, and I also, another thing that I really enjoyed about the book was that, is the protagonist's love for herself, um, in the sense that, you know, when she was with the young man and she went to, I believe it was a Thanksgiving party, and it was from that moment she realized that she couldn't be with this person because it was taking away from herself. I feel like that's another example of self-love, because at some point you have to ask yourself, okay, if I love myself, then what are my values? What are things that I want to align myself with, and what are things that I'm not willing to be dishonest with myself about or lie to myself about? And it was in that moment where she chose not to be dishonest with herself and said, you know what? It's better that I be with someone who is understanding of my culture, understanding of the struggles that I've experienced. And I honestly respected the character's decision for that, because that was another example of love, which ultimately is self love. Now, is self love unique to the Cree culture? No, it's not, because a lot of cultures around the world and people around the world preach about self-love and the importance of self-love, and aligning yourself with those that align with your values and who you are, so you don't have to diminish who you are, um, and take away from yourself. So I think that was also another great addition to the book. The book teaches you, ultimately, the book doesn't shed light on what differentiates love, what differentiates Cree love from the rest of the world, but basically illustrates a Cree person experiencing love through different aspects. And I think that's what makes this book very beautiful and very beautifully written. Um, because a lot of people can, you know, relate to having protection from their grandmother and having some sort of love from a family, or choosing themselves over, someone else who doesn't really align with who they are. And not choosing to love another person more than you love yourself. So I think ultimately this is why I really enjoyed the book, because it's it just kind of it dives into the different pillars of love, and it does it through the experience of a Cree woman. So yeah, that's why this book to me is extremely well done. Um, And on top of that, the writing style is, I love writers that are able to, you know, not provoke, but to stimulate my imagination and allow me to imagine the things that they are writing about. And it's a skill to be able to write with descriptive language in a way where a person's able to imagine it. And when reading this book, I can say that Tracy Lindberg does an amazing job in using descriptive language so that you, as the reader, can visualize what is written on the pages. And I admire writers that have that skill. So yeah, she does a great job. Not only is it vivid in your mind, through the storytelling, but it's also vivid through the use of the different illustrations by George Littlechild. Um, each of the illustrations are intentionally placed, and you can definitely tell that once you read the book and you go through the illustrations, you go through each page and see the illustrations and be like, huh, is there some sort of significance here? And yeah, and that's active reading, right? That's as a reader, you want to be an active read as a reader, you want to be actively reading where you're asking yourself these questions, asking what are the intentions behind, the writer placing the images here, or the purpose of storytelling, or purpose of certain anecdotes, and purpose of, you want to ask yourself that, because then you begin to really understand the purpose of the book. And I would say the purpose of this book was just to illustrate that love is love is an action word, and it's something that you receive and something that you give. And I think the book does an amazing job in just illustrating that through storytelling. So yeah, overall, like, I love the book. I enjoyed the book. I love reading Indigenous books. Like, there's something about Indigenous culture. It's so beautiful. And I love how they respect the earth. I love their relationships within their community, and how they treat each other. I really admire everything that involves Indigenous culture, and I only want to respect Indigenous culture. And that's why I want to illustrate these books, because it's so important that we as humans, we would just respect each other's cultures and just, admire the beauty of each other's culture. So for that reason, the Cree Word for Love by Tracy Lindberg is definitely one of my favorite Indigenous written books. And yeah, I love it. Maybe one day I'll have her on the podcast. And I really want to get an art piece from George Littlechild, because his illustrations, oh my God, they're so pretty, and bold is an understatement. Like, I just love them. Like, I want to get one of his paintings. They're probably a fortune, but a girl can dream. But no, his illustrations are so nice. And yeah, I just love Indigenous art. I feel like there's a lot of emphasis placed on European art, which not anymore, because people are beginning to embrace other cultures and different types of art. Sorry if my voice sounds hoarse. I've been filming for at least almost 2 hours or 3 hours now. So yeah, his work is so beautiful, and I definitely want to get a piece. I want to get one of his illustrations. So hopefully one day I can be able to purchase one of his artworks if they're available for purchase. So yeah, that was basically my book review of the Cree Word for Love. I encourage you to read the book, because it definitely is a must read, and I truly, like, this book is great. And it's so beautiful. Like, I just love the cover. I love the writing. I love the storytelling. I love everything about this book. So, yes, Tracy Lindberg, The Cree Word for Love. Please get it. It's really great. Okay, well, I hope you guys loved today's episode. And I hope you guys have an amazing weekend. If you're looking for a book to read this weekend, I definitely recommend The Cree Word for Love. It's an amazing book. You're gonna love the illustrations and the storytelling. And yeah, I hope you guys have a great weekend, and I'll see you guys on Monday. Bye.